tell us when she can hear us, and if she can't, she's gonna have to leave out.
So
Hi.
during breaks and stuff.
So we will be sure to mute it during breaks into your face when you're talking, though. We hope everyone would appreciate that.
I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Good. So,
And can
yeah,
you all hear me okay there?
we can hear you great.
Okay, fantastic.
So, yeah, just meddle with us. I know we've kind of been through it with technology in this room, but this is hopefully going to be the final update that really works for everyone.
That's perfect.
Another update, the resume probably looks different to you guys in a new format. It might also have some unusual codes on it. We have started using our current system in the same way that tobacco has used it. We've now had some more involvement as we've been talking about our new system that we're going to get. We've talked about ways to use our current system better while we're in the meantime. So that is why the violation resume probably looks different. I know Alex and I were even talking before we officially started. There's some unusual violations on there that I'm gonna have to look into afterward, like failure to destroy bottles. I don't recall talking. And then, of course, we do have hearings on the agenda today. There are two. Kind of difficult to say which one may take longer or not. It depends on who shows up. These are not violation hearings. These are objection hearings. I think you guys have all seen them in the past where it's really kind of either between a city official who objects or the public who objects to the placement of a license in a certain location. So I think we are about ready. Katie will tell me if we're not.
We are, we're just looking, Mr. Schaefer, can you tell us your email address? That would save some time, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Jonas, Jonas, at 965 as in the digits, spirits, spirits.com. So Jonas at 965spirits.com.
And also, I know you guys have heard me talk about the technology a lot. Just bear with us. One of our paralegals is out. So one of our other paralegals is nice enough to sub in. So we're going to hope we can get the evidence flowing. But sometimes in this team's room, depending on who set up the meeting, depends on who can present. So bear with us. We're going to do our best. Okay. And I think we're about ready to go.
Okay, thank you all for coming today. At this time, I'd like to bring the meeting to order. We have 3 board members present and 1 virtual, so we have a quorum to proceed. Fellow board members, have you all had a chance to review the director's decisions, the violation resume, warning letters, and inactive staff? Why don't we do the agency administrative updates at the end so we can get everyone out that's here otherwise?
Yeah.
Get them on the road.
Let's do it.
So, show of hands, who all is here, either in person or online, for the first one on our list, John Kelly, Patty's Package Store. So we got 4 for that. Who all is here for the Justin Aguilera, the Plaza in Dentonville? Who all is here for that? All right, we got about the same amount of people. Maybe one, so you don't have to cram in. Maybe one, so you don't have to cram in.
Go ahead and hand these out. Go ahead and hand these out. They haven't been admitted.
True, so help you God.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And Susan, you should have received or will be receiving shortly this exhibit packet in your email. Do you have it?
I have it. I just let me know when I'm allowed to open it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you want to proceed with admitting these 2 packages this time, or?
Yes. So if we could go ahead and talk about pre-admitting, the first package, which is in the all white paper with the tabs, is the ABC exhibit list that are for the permits that are being sought. And Sheree, if we could also send a copy of those to that email address that Mr. Schaefer gave us so that he can also follow along. The second package is from Mr. John Kelly, who is seeking the permits, and his attorney is here, Mr. William Trentham, and he can go over those exhibits with you. We have no objection to these exhibits coming in. I'm not sure if Mr. Jonas will or not, if he's reviewed over those, but if you could take them through if you want to pre-admit.
Yeah.
And if we want to give him a second to get that packet, what would you like? Schaefer, have you had a chance to, has the Patty's packaged good packet come into you yet?
I'm reviewing it now. I have one PowerPoint presentation, a slide deck. It looks like their responses to, I have not read all this, but it looks like it's their responses to the many letters of objection. Is that what I should be, is that what you're asking me?
So I sent him the Patty's one, and then I just sent him the one that has exhibits that.
Introduced right now.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
What was your name again, sir?
Mr. Trenholm, Will, you just call me Will,
Mr. Will?
or just Will, you know.
Well, he's Will Turner.
Okay, so, Mr. Schaefer, Will's gonna give, I guess, some context on what's in this packet before we grant it.
Well, and I think what we need to do is an opening statement too. A lot of times our board members are coming in here with no understanding, most of the time, no understanding of what's going on. So maybe I'll let Katie do an opening statement that kind of explains the landscape. And then if either side wants to tack on an opening statement, that's great too.
Okay, fantastic.
We want to pre-admit though before that.
Sure.
Would you like?
He was, wondering if you wanted to go through the.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the packet that we've given you there that you have, in your hand, it basically just goes over why you should approve this, permit. The statutory compliance is perfect. It meets all ABC, distance, zoning and regulatory, requirements.
And we don't need to go through the opening statement yet. Do you want to check off what they are?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we have the first page is the statutory requirements that we've met. The second addresses public safety and traffic and congestion. The fourth one addresses public convenience and advantage. The fifth one addresses community ties and contributions from 2008 to 2017 from my clients. And then we have checks that prove the money was paid to Charleston. Then we have the personal allegations raised by the objectors that we'd like to, talk about when he brings those up. And then we also talk about the population-based comparisons and also the business history of our clients. This isn't their first rodeo as far as owning a business or whatnot. And they've been very successful in the businesses they've owned. We also want to discuss the conflict of interest between Mr. Schaefer and Ms. Clark and Ms. Fisher. And then clarification regarding the property sale and neighbor support. We believe that this is just go ahead.
Okay, and we're just admitting right now, so.
Okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha, yeah.
If there's no objection to that, can we have those admitted?
And I apologize, there's also some,
There's no objection to this, so we'll move forward with admitting that at this time. And we can move forward to the opening statements that you all want to start.
It's one packet. I think there's 5 different documents in the packet. I don't know if.
You just want to have that as A 1 through 5.
yeah, that's not, whatever's easiest. for you guys.
Great, just so that we all know, sometimes there's a lot of paper shuffling up here.
Sure.
So I can just do A1, A2, A3.
A lot of background noise. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so for clarification, A4 is a letter addressed to John from a Jennifer. And an A5 is a letter addressed to John, addressed from a Darren Hanlon. So, objection, I mean.
It was just so large. We'll have you in that exhibit 6.
Okay,
Thank you.
would you let me give it to you now?
That's okay, you can just show it when you need to show it.
Okay.
There's only 3 of us here. So we
Do
can-
you want me to put 6 on here so that y'all have it?
Sure, if you're gonna leave it with us.
We can leave it.
Sure, thank you.
A6?
Yes. Okay, we about ready to?
We are ready.
the hearing? Okay,
An objection from the city official, which is included in your packet. In addition to, which is labeled as number A2, if you want to review A3 is also a number of signed objection letters from people in the community. I think primarily the issues that they're addressing is the fact that this is a liquor store that is seeking a permit in this town of Charleston, Arkansas, which has a population of between 2,000 and 3,000 people. And there is a liquor store that is already servicing the area, and I believe they're arguing that it's in close vicinity. This new permit is very close to the one that is already pre-existing, and so there is no community necessity to have another liquor store. And if at this time I can go ahead and remind you of the factors you need to consider, there are 7 factors, or if you prefer, we can wait until the end and I can kind of go over them. But just to kind of give you a summary, you've heard all of these before. It's community convenience, it's traffic congestion, how many permits are in the county total. All of those things need to be considered when determining whether or not to issue the retail liquor. So this is not an appeal. It is just 2 sides presenting a case for all of y'all to consider today. Okay. If you want to go ahead and give your opening statement as to why.
Yeah, so my clients, they want to open this new liquor store in Charleston, Arkansas, and there's been opposition from the police chief and also some Chamber of Commerce members, and then Mr. Schaefer. Now, Mr. Schaefer, he owns the only liquor store in Charleston. So we believe that this is just a way for him to keep the monopoly on alcohol in Charleston. Where this liquor store is open, Charleston won't be the only place that serves. I mean, people will come in from, I can't think of the town next over. Lavaca.
Not Altus, I'm sorry, Boomer, you've got,
Ozark, Lavaca, County Line, Paris, those are the.
I'm gonna go ahead and set a rule right now. We only have one person talking when it's their turn to talk. At this point, only it's the attorney's turn to talk or the people who represent themselves.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thanks.
it goes from the large area.
So yeah, it pulls from a large area. Lavaca, Bloomer, Ratcliffe, Branch, Central City says he doesn't have already. Where the liquor store is located, it's actually not in the city of Charleston where the police chief would have jurisdiction. It's outside of it, so it would be the county that actually does. So we don't feel that that's going to be an issue. These people are going to come in, buy their product and take it home or wherever they go and drink it there. So there shouldn't be a lot of issues there. If you go to Charleston, there's liquor stores, the gas stations. They don't have liquor, obviously, but they have beer. Main thoroughfare. I mean, it's a main highway. That's exactly what it's for. It's for to get people in and out of Charleston. So we just feel that that's somewhat redundant and ridiculous. And our theory is that Mr. Schaefer just doesn't want any more competition. He wants to keep that monopoly in Charleston, so sort of the business will do better. But that concludes my opening.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Schaefer, do you have an opportunity to speak in regards to what Mr. Franklin just said?
Yes, ma'am, and I apologize for me interrupting. And I want to thank everyone for their time, and I do apologize that I cannot be there in person. But I was told by Police Chief Billy Atchley and City Superintendent Josh that they were told later on they didn't have to be here. They told me earlier they were going to be here, but I'll address the opening real quick right off the bat. This is not about competition. This is not about a monopoly. That's funny. It's just hilarious. People drive all around to get alcohol all over the place. Charleston is a 5-mile stretch from the east side to the west side. It's 5 miles. It's 2,500 people. I am a 4th generation person. I know everybody. Of course, I'm involved in all these things. I'm a leader in my community. I saw briefly on my iPhone, to the point, this is not about competition. This is about location. The parcel of land that Mr. Kelly bought is located literally next door. He bought it from my cousin Joe Flanagan to the new parcel of land, which I am building a new liquor store on. I last year explained to the city of Charleston that I want the city of Charleston to annex this land. And we'll have one liquor store that is going to be in the city of Charleston and another one on the outskirts, which is very, very close to Charleston. It would literally be next door to my future site, which I believe we're pouring the footing on the past few days. So the question is, does this new liquor store address public convenience and advantage? And the applicant has the burden to show if this is addressing public convenience and advantage. Is putting a new liquor store in a small town of 2,500 people going to increase convenience and advantage? It's not about competition, it's about location. I probably wouldn't be here objecting it if it wasn't next door to my future liquor store. And literally there's 4 lots. He's the second one. My current one's on the 4th lot, all by each other. There are public safety concerns, and I of course work with daily and know everybody. This is coming from an inactive permit that hasn't been used in I'm not sure how long, but if I had to articulate this, it would be weighing the concerns of public safety and all these other concerns against the legitimate public convenience and advantage. It's a no-brainer what Charleston wants. Nobody in Charleston wants this, except apparently Darren Haney and his girlfriend. That's his girlfriend who wrote the second letter right there, that Jennifer. That's who he's currently dating. But I really haven't gone through all the other slide deck here. I don't think it's proper to start mudslinging about who, me and working together or a conflict of interest. That's impossible. Everybody knows everybody in Charleston. If you had done it a little bit better, but I'll leave it at this right now, unless you want me to drone on and on.
And Mr. Schaefer, you will have the opportunity, as you're representing yourself as on your side of the hearing, you will have the opportunity to ask questions if anyone is a witness at that time. So this is not your end all time to speak. We will also probably do a little bit of a closing statement too. So you will have time to speak again. I think that gets us ready to go into testimony.
All right, you both go on.
Well, I
Have we
can-
sworn everybody in?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer's talking about public safety a lot, but he doesn't, he stated that there's safety concerns, but he doesn't specifically state what safety concerns. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? As far as your opinion, do you feel like there are any safety concerns putting your liquor store in?
Well, I wouldn't know what it would be. Charleston's a great town. It's a safe town. So the traffic's on 22. That's when we're moving there for traffic. When I purchased this, I purchased the license from Ozark, Arkansas, with the agreement that I moved it to south of the river. So if you look south of the river.
And you bought that from Mr. Schaefer's cousin, correct?
Not the license, the property.
The property, right?
Right. His, I guess it would be his cousin's wife was my realtor, and it was from his uncle that I bought it from.
And when you bought it, did you discuss the fact that you wanted to build a liquor store there?
Oh, absolutely.
And what did they say about that?
That would be a problem. But anyway, so I moved down to Charleston because 22 is the next busiest highway other than Interstate 40, which I had to be south of the river. And if you're looking at Charleston, there's churches, schools, and daycares. I would much rather be on the other side of Charleston, on the west side. But the rules don't permit me to be on the other side because I have to be 1,000 feet from these locations. So really, unless I get off at 22, that would be the only spot available in Charleston. So it's
And just so that y'all know for reference, we have one witness testifying right now. If you need to be called, they'll call you separately. Thank you.
And tell us what your what public convenience and advantages it's going to provide to the citizens of Charleston?
I know that it gives competition is what it does. I don't have a clue what he's carrying. We're gonna have, we've already bought the beer sampling and the wine sampling. Well, I think it's a trio. So all three sampling, that will be, he might have that at his store now. I don't know, but that's gonna be one thing we're gonna offer. Product selection, I'm sure ours will be somewhat different than his. We, kind of have an Irish theme going, so we're gonna be going more for the, Irish whiskeys and this nicer bourbons and things. It's gonna be a modern store. It's gonna be brand new. Well, his is gonna be brand new. So additional customer choice, basically.
Correct. And Mr. Schaefer, he discussed his ties with the community, and I'm not arguing his ties. I know he's very well connected in Charleston. He knows people in the chamber. He knows well, I don't think he's the superintendent anymore that wrote the letter, but he knows the former superintendent. But he says that you haven't really promoted Charleston. So can you explain what you've done, Charleston?
Been heavily involved with Charleston since 2007. I'm sorry, I'm asking. 2008, we've been pretty involved. I've known some of the residents since I was a teenager. But we're actively involved in the school system. We've done the yearbooks, the portraits. We sponsored I think we spent about $20,000 on turf, their new turf field as a sponsorship. We saved them thousands of dollars on their cost. It's what they were paying their previous people. So we've been active with Little Leagues. We've been active with pretty much all the organizations from the school on.
I assume that's through another business because this is the new one. Sure.
Yes, I have heritage books and yearbooks from 92 to 2017. So
I appreciate that. That's some pictures.
Could we see that map while you're
Absolutely.
pass around?
Maybe, I don't want to speak for Katie, we may have a different map in the packet.
Yes, exhibit A4, the last page of the packet is an aerial map for you to also.
Was wondering if y'all would have put that in there.
We know you like maps.
Yeah, here you go. Okay.
You look at this eye gloss. I got that. Why don't one of you come up here and show us what's. Okay, show us where you're proposing.
Sham Kelly with Patty's Pack.
What was the first name?
Sham, S-H-A-M, or Neshaminy.
Okay.
Legal name.
Thank you.
Is this where you want to build your?
Okay, so this is where we're wanting to build our store. Mr. Schaefer currently is right here. He has a property here that he just started, I believe, on the 9th, pouring the foundation. This is what you're looking at is how we choose to. So this right here, where that line school, which is the high school, the middle school, and the elementary school, there's a church, there's a preschool. This would have been a prime location right there, but because of that preschool, we couldn't do it because,
I gotcha.
yeah.
Unless you have anything else, I don't want to cut you off, but I know we've got a lot to cover. I really just wanted to see where you were going to be. So, Mr. Shaver's current store is about right here. What would you say the distance is from here to here? What's the distance? I mean, approximately
150, 200 yards.
200 yards. And then here, this is you guys are literally adjacent properly here.
Right
So-
next to each other.
So the relocation between the two buildings, you was going to be right next to each other. Oh, we're going to be right next to each other no matter what. Is that? Okay, just curious. Okay.
No.
Oh, and then also on the corner edge of the map, it's a map of where our house is. And because we're going to be the only ones that are running the store until we get it up and going where it's showing a profit, we have to be within 35 miles of, so our house is here. We live in Ruby. And so this area was a 35-mile radius. And we're right on there. And so we have, this right here is Franklin County. So we have to be south of the river, plus we have to be within 35 miles. So it really limits us on our permit where we can be located and still be within the 35 miles. And, you know, it limits us.
And if you'll have a seat, your attorney can ask you any future questions.
Correct. And the, Mr. Schaefer has actually sent out a petition to have folks sign, which I'm not sure if he knows this, that's liable, and everybody who wrote that signed that thing is liable, so that's for a different day, but, basically, tell us what happened as far as these charges that you were charged in Crawford County.
I'm just
I
gonna
just
keep
want
it
you
short and
to,
simple.
yes, please.
I had a 16-year-old stepdaughter that was, I passed the lie detector test. And, she recounted her story, but she actually told the truth at the end that she is married. That was the main thing. Once the prosecution out of Crawford County had found out that she recanted, they had actually, sent a guy from the jail to my house on a Sunday morning. And, basically said he was there to kill me and we picked a bad day. And it was a bad deal. But anyway, what they were trying to do is record me, trying to trap me into saying something I never did.
Yeah, and all the charges were dismissed. They were null pros. Several years have passed. They can't bring them back. That story's done. It's sealed. And I don't believe the board can even consider it because it is.
Do you have any further questions for this witness?
I don't think so. I think we were asked. I think we were asked.
Mr. Schaefer, do you have any questions for Mr. John Kelly? He is the witness on the stand right now.
Sure. John, you and I have had a couple pleasant and cordial conversations, and I do appreciate those conversations. And I do believe we're being as respectful as we possibly can. In those conversations that we had previous to all of this, you did tell me that your first plan was an Irish pub, correct?
When we were looking, well, we started in Van Buren, we were gonna do an Irish pub. And then, we started looking in Ozark, and at that time was when we run into Kemper Edge. And, he had the license for sale. So our agreement was with him as we go south of the river, Arkansas River. When we first met Lacey Flanagan, she was trying to say something about an Irish pub. And I told her at that point, I said, Lacey, I've already made a deal with Kemper to buy this liquor license. I said, I would like to have a pub, but at this time, I've got to go to the liquor store first because I've got all that money invested. So she knew.
Had I known this would have been a topic, I would have brought an affidavit from my cousin Joe Flanagan, and Joe was pretty upset about it. In fact, he kept denying it when I informed him that it's going to be a liquor store. So to me, I apologize. I don't think I have any other questions.
Thank you.
And I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
And I don't have any questions. Okay.
Or do you guys have any questions?
I do have one.
So I,
All right. So, I'm getting everybody's names confused here, but the existing liquor store was, within what'd you say, 100 yards?
I'd say 100 to 200 yards.
100 to 200 yards. So whether the existing, so here's what I'm getting at.
To 200 yards.
100 to 200 yards. So whether the existing, so here's what I'm getting at. The existing store.
My understanding is as long as I've passed this background check, I have paid all my fees and everything like that, then it was pretty much, it's a free market. So anybody can do anything as long as they pass all the rules, that y'all said.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd much rather be on the other side of town. Okay, it would be closer for me. It would get me away from Jonas, but there's just nothing there if I want to be on 22. So, Lacey,
I might have hit it from another angle, but I think
Yeah,
you're
no.
trying to get at.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Kelly,
Yeah.
so you bought this land, underwriting the risk associated with having two competing businesses, in a relatively small market. Because the biggest risk at the end of the day is someone's gonna end up with there being a risk of there being two businesses that compete, more than likely one's gonna succeed and one might not. The bank is underwritten and approved building this building, knowing that there's a risk that you're competing against an existing operation with extremely well connected in the community, multi generations, and the bank still underwrote, moving forward with this building. In your presentation to the bank or other investors or in the community, this isn't something that falls under us really from a board perspective. This is just more, it's like business owners in the community is like, you have to have something that differentiates you from the current business. I mean, if you have two grocery stores next to each other, one might have more.
Jonas's prices, and I really don't know his product. But we plan on, first of all, like I said, we have a kind of an Irish thing going. I've traveled over there a lot, and I kind of have fell in love with the Irish whiskey and things like that. So, I mean, we're gonna carry whatever the customer's gonna buy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's what we're there for. So we're just hoping to offer a little bit nicer selection of wines and spirits, bourbons, things like that.
How do you know that they're nicer selections if you don't know your primary
Yeah,
competitor?
that's exactly what I just said. I have no idea what he carries. Yeah, I have no idea what he's gonna be carrying at his new store or anything like that.
So it
So
would tend to argue that he'd be probably carrying similar to what he's got an established
I would
history of
say
doing.
every liquor store pretty much carries similar products.
Sure.
But we're gonna try to differentiate ourselves with the tasting. I don't know if he's gonna be doing tasting, but we've already got all the tastings. We're trying to build a really nice deal. And I know we're gonna carry a lot of the Irish stuff that probably nobody down in Charleston would normally carry, because I'm sure it's not gonna be a big thing for that area. But we're members of like the Irish Whiskey Association, different things like that. But we're going to try to pull in some of our members from across the area and things like that to our store.
That kind of helps.
Well, no, that's a great line of questioning. But what I was getting at is you bought a location right next to an operating liquor store. You had to have thought at some point we're going to get some objections. Like, in other words, what I'm saying is that is a very risky site to buy,
It is.
knowing that you are going to get objection. And remember, it's a privileged license. So what is happening is, you are right. There are things like being a good neighbor, or not creating more traffic danger, or not creating a stress on law enforcement. And when someone goes and buys a property right next to another operating liquor store, man, to me, that is just, we're asking for. We're taking a high risk that we're not going to get the approval, because we're right next door to a liquor store. So that's what I'm looking for here. So I got to be honest with you, I'm actually all for you. I am all for the fact that you want to create.
I mean, it's part of life. I mean, people are going to have competition, and I promise you, I would much rather be on the other side. If y'all would amend your rules, I'll go to the other side tomorrow. Okay, but that 1,000-foot rule killed me every direction. If I want to be on 22, completely, I have been up and down that highway 1,000 times trying to find something, but there's just nothing. I thought I found a spot, and then
To this petition. You raised an objection to this petition. Why are you raising?
I'm not following what you mean.
There's a
Not a formal
petition.
objection. He didn't like it, but not
You
a
didn't-
formal
Oh, well,
objection.
I think you feel that this petition is illegal, was illegal.
Well, yeah, I think that petition, I mean, it's just something that Mr. Schaefer made up, right? Just made it up and then had people sign it.
Is there a different way to do it?
Well, I mean, I think there is. I think you should probably hire an attorney and make sure you don't make any mistakes and make sure that everything on that petition is true. Because if you don't, then you've dismissed, you've sent out all these
libels.
Sure, absolutely.
Could you tell me which one of those bullet points you think is not true? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 of them. Can you tell me which one?
For Susan and everyone, where are you?
Well, I'm in it. Yes, thank you. I'm in the back of Exhibit A3. And there's a petition here that I believe is the petition you didn't like.
So can I just
Yeah, go ahead.
make some clarifications? Exhibit 3 contains some letters that have wet signatures. When you get past the letters, there is also a longer list of wet signatures. What precedes that is what I believe Mr. Byrne is referring to as the petition, because it has multiple signatures following it. So there's 10 bullet points.
It looks kind of like this, right? So this looks like the petition he sent out, or he got gathered signatures. I think this is the one that you object to or don't like.
Sure.
Because you think that these could not be true statements.
I'm not saying that the statements that, or the people that wrote that down was, what I'm saying is the actual petition, the way it was written.
Yeah. This is the petition, right? Is this it right here?
Yeah,
This is what he had?
I'm trying to, yes, I have it right.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm just curious, which one of those 10 bullet points you have an
Let me look.
objection? Or don't like, and I'm not.
Would it be more than mugshot photo? I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that goes to it, you know, showing the mugshot photo, showing all the,
Well, that's not part of the petition, I don't
No.
believe.
I think it was shown.
I think that's part of his letter. No, that's part of his letter, I believe.
Are you stating that where this petition was handed out, there was a copy of a mugshot shown with it, being like you?
What, I have not saw it, so, this is what I was told. If Jonas can tell me if it's true or not. From what I understand, Della Soul, the Mexican restaurant up the street, his liquor store, would say, do you want this type of person to come in your community and show that, and then get them to sign the petition? That's.
Problem is kind of hearsay.
It is hearsay.
Well,
I can
Well, it
produce
definitely is
witnesses,
if I could just
but
interject for one moment too. We are here on the purposes of an administrative violation. We are not going to rule on what we think may or may not be a truthful legal argument outside in the circuit court. So libel, slander, none of that is necessarily relevant to the body of law that you guys have to look at to do this. In our body of law, we do have mechanisms for people to object to permits. That comes in the form of objection letters, which we have received some, or petitions. So I can understand there's an argument that there may be a future claim for libel if something in any of these are incorrect. There's also, I believe, a newspaper article. A newspaper article by definition is public information. So if I were a judge ruling on you in circuit court, I would say you lost.
Well,
But
yeah.
we're not here today to consider that.
Right.
So however you want to frame that argument, but I just want to make sure we've got objection letters and petitions, which are allowed by ABC law for you to consider.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, we will be reviewing the 7 items that if this area constitutes, public convenience, public safety, and we'll go through all that probably in our final rounds of discussions. So I don't want to.
And again, I hate to interject like that. I just,
No.
sometimes circuit court arguments that are not administrative arguments really just distract instead of help.
Are there any other questions at this time for Mr. Kelly? And Susan, anything from you all?
No, I'm good right now, but thank you.
Okay. No one else has any other questions for Mr. Kelly, or you have to move on if you have anyone else?
We rest.
Okay. Does the state have anyone?
We don't have anyone. I think Mr. Schaefer may have had additional information to present.
Mr. Schaefer, do you have any witnesses or would you like to put yourself on the stand for a statement?
That could be his closing statement.
Okay.
I do have a closing statement, so just let me know when I can make that.
Sounds like we're about ready.
Yeah.
No, I got a question.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, let me just ask this question while I got you here, and I guess I can ask you. And we've sworn all these folks in, they're under oath, is that right? Okay, so Mr. Schaefer, did you show people, are you aware of showing people his mugshot and saying, is this the type of person you want in our business, in our community? Did you show them
I
that
can-
mugshot in addition to the?
People ask me that. I can tell you that with certainty at my liquor store. And I had someone bring in, unbeknownst to me, a mugshot of John Kelly and to show us, look at this guy.
Okay,
I
and
threw
let me-
that,
I'm just gonna-
I've thrown that away.
Yeah, I hear
I'm
you.
sorry.
So I'm just gonna ask you one more time real clearly. Did the people collecting these signatures show his mugshot while they were collecting these signatures?
Some of them may have seen that, some of them did not. Someone placed it on the counter.
Where did you collect
But
these
some-
signatures at?
At most of them, almost all of them, I believe, yes, all of them, at my liquor store, at 965 Spirits.
Okay.
I didn't go, that's where that particular petition signatures, that's where that was collected, at 965 Spirits.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
As counsel, you've also had the opportunity to ask Mr. Schaefer any questions that he now testified.
He
Covered it.
He got the question out in the past.
Okay. Anything else from the board?
Can you help me understand how the traffic congestion would increase from a liquor store that's right next to the existing one?
Mr. Schaefer, I believe that's directed at you. It's kind of hard to tell on video.
Yes, ma'am, I apologize. I wish I spoke about this with our police chief, and the primary concern is more people that when we deal with liquor, we deal with public safety. It is very important. This is a very regulated industry, and I understand that coming from the long-term care industry myself. And it seemed to present itself as an unnecessary risk with people pulling in to purchase alcohol, maybe or maybe not drunk, into two liquor stores right next to each other. That was the traffic. When we speak about traffic, it's not traffic jams. It's traffic concerns, public safety traffic concerns.
You're saying like they won't be able to decide which liquor store to turn into?
They may get confused. They may try to go to the other one. We've had somebody kind of go into the ditch in my current one, so it may be very confusing and not an ideal situation for public safety, in my opinion. And as you can read from the letters, many other people's opinion, expert. Much alcohol seeking traffic with
So if this, if we were to not grant this license today, that would mean that same traffic would all be going to the same spot 200 yards away to you. So it would be okay for all the traffic to go to one store, but it would not be in the public safety to have two stores next to each other.
That logic, that's thorough logic, but in order for him to survive, he's going to try to attract a different type of customer, I would assume. And so I believe it's much money in a liquor store. I'm very honored and privileged to not be able to worry about making any money owning this liquor store because it doesn't make me any money. I haven't paid myself anything. Our primary folks are local people, not people from Greenwood, not people from Ozark, and not people from, Boonville. They're all serviced. Our little liquor store just serves its little community.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, I'm going to ask you under what grounds then are you asking us to deny this? Because it's a public safety, tell me why you're asking us to deny this? Because it's a public safety issue? Because he's had a case brought against him in 2018? Tell us why you want us to deny this.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. Okay. If I may use the analogy, again, I owned and operated Greenhurst Nursing Center for 20 years, a very regulated business. Nursing homes don't pop up next door to each other because it doesn't serve in what's the public's best interests, because it's the same product. You're taking care of people's lives. So when you're dealing with people's lives, public safety and these concerns matter. Anything that Mr. Kelly can get, I can get anything. So there is no product differentiation. There is nothing. But we are dealing with public concern and safety. And the main arguments I have is this liquor store right next door to another liquor store in a tiny little town will know a lot of his problems from lack of due diligence. But that's, we have justice of the peaces, we have the police chief, we have leaders in our community that have concerns, and I don't believe the advantage of 2 liquor stores next door to each other outweigh those public concerns.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Are we ready for closing?
Yeah, I think we're ready for
arguments?
closing.
I think we will let the Patty's side start first. Katie, do you have a preference? Going first or last, actually? I guess I should.
And none of the people that signed the petition showed up, so it doesn't seem that important to them. All their objections that they have submitted are speculative. They're not supported by evidence. There's a lot of buzzwords, legal words that they've taken from the ABC rules, but they haven't really expressed why they think that this has happened or why these things would happen. We truly believe it's economically motivated. It's factually inaccurate. It doesn't align with the ABC statutory criteria. The objections that were presented here rely heavily on personal friendships or family ties. And that's what it is. Our application meets all the legal requirements. It enhances the public convenience and advantage. It gives them more selection. It opens the market. It takes away the monopoly that's in Charleston with the 1 liquor store. My client is supported by a long documented history of community involvement. But no, maybe not as much as Mr. Schaefer, obviously, because he lives there and his whole family came from there and but my client still does have a tie with Charleston, Arkansas. So we would just respectfully request that you approve this permit. Thank you.
An advantage. It has not demonstrated that this is good for public convenience and advantage. And we have demonstrated concerns of public safety. And without getting into all this economy, market, competition, free market, I think it boils down to those 2 simple things. Planning this liquor store next to an already existing one simply does not demonstrate how public convenience and advantage, how that's going to help anyone. And in fact, the concerns outweigh anything when it comes to considering public advantage and convenience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to sum everything up from the ABC, this is not a director's decision that was made. This isn't an appeal. This is your decision to make on this. We are here because there were city officials that objected. The chief of police did object, was subpoenaed. I don't have any explanation on why he wasn't here. He did not reach out that I'm aware of.
May I
that's fine.
apologize.
You're okay.
I'm very sorry. I'm talking to Billy now. I told him, hey, I'm logged in. He and Josh last week were under the impression they were going to be here, but then they were told he did not have to be here. I'm asking him right now, who told you that? He just read it this moment and now he's typing, but they were told, he said, Maddie?
Billy actually yesterday and told him that this was a subpoena that was not criminal if he did not appear, but if he wished to have his opinion heard, he did have to hear it because everyone was hearing everything. So if he chose not to appear.
Yeah, I apologize that they got subpoenaed. I didn't know they were going to be.
And I apologize. I talked to a number of people yesterday and told them that if they did not appear, then their voices would not be heard. But they were not going to be put in jail if they didn't come.
And that is standard practice for anything.
Yeah, we don't criminally enforce those. So he chose not to come, and he did submit a letter, which is included in your packet to read. The city superintendent also submitted a letter, which is in your packet to review. I don't know that that's considered an official city employee, but it is there for your review. There were a number of concerned citizens that submitted letters of all. You should. It is on page 20 of the rule book. The rule book is
Okay. Carry on, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. The number of permits in that county is to be considered, if there's an oversaturation of liquor store permits or not, and how many are in the city limits or things that you can consider when making your decision. The type of permits that are in the community, whether those are on premise, off premise, liquor stores, beer, wine, all of those things you can take into consideration into whether the community needs this new permit. The location can be taken into consideration and whether or not those are in close vicinity to other stores and the buildings surrounding it. The impact that it will have on the churches and schools in the area can be considered. I know that's been a topic of discussion and exactly where it can be located in the city of Charleston because it is a small community. The input from law enforcement should also be considered and whether or not the law enforcement officers are objecting or whether or not they're giving their stamp approval needs to be taken into consideration. And then the community support and opposition. So whether or not there are people here to speak on behalf or people to speak in opposition.
Can I make a point? But the sheriff, he didn't show up, so they don't have to consider his.
They can consider his letter,
Okay.
but just the fact that he wasn't here
It wasn't here.
is his decision on whether or not he comes, but.
But
Letter.
receiving an objection letter is still standard procedure. Matter of fact, it is what triggered this hearing. If we have a city official object, it triggers a hearing.
Can
And
I,
normally that's mayor and chief of police, just to clarify who exactly city official means in our rule book.
might not like this question, but I'm gonna ask it.
Oh, great.
If there wasn't the objections from the city officials that triggered this hearing,
You're putting me on the stand? Let me ask my counsel. Is it wise for me to take the stand? She said that I shouldn't take the stand.
so if I was to ask if you would have thought that y'all were going to approve it internally if the objection hadn't been filed.
This is a de novo review, so I do not want to bias your opinion. I can tell you generally speaking how. So I think those location arguments can always cut both sides. So I really truly cannot tell you what my decision would be because when I saw a city official objected, I said, not my problem. The board will figure that one out for me. So if that's the truthful answer.
Just as we try.
But I would say, I mean, again, my testimony would not be meant to bias anyone in this situation, but I would say just really take a look at what factors matter to you guys. Some people, boards in the past have given great weight to city officials. Other boards in the past have not. It kind of depends. I have no recollection of ever being in Charleston. I'm sure I've driven through it. I'm an Arkansas girl, but I don't.
Permits population based.
Retail liquor permits are population based by county. So every 7,500 person in the county. But we know Arkansas, sometimes the county is really big and there's one hotspot city in that county. So technically, if there is another permit available, there are other areas within the county that they could move to, but it sounded like there was a desire to be in this city at this point. But there's nothing, no rules as far as city permits, one per capita, nothing like that.
Something I might add that you might like to know is, if you look at the population, there should only be 2.5 liquor stores in Franklin County. Okay. And when I saw that, before I bought the license, I called and I spoke to, I believe it's Keisha at the time. Was she the city attorney here?
We had an ABC attorney named Keisha.
And I asked her, I said, if I buy this, because, I'm going to be number 8. And she said that, well, a lot of these were grandfathered in.
That's correct.
So-
The population requirement, Pulaski County, for instance, we're way over it.
Yeah.
We have more liquor stores than 7,500 people per liquor store in Pulaski County because we were the city capital and historically we had more that were grandfathered in. So there is
Yeah.
a mechanism of the law in which there could be more in certain areas, but it doesn't change the fact that the existing permits that were grandfathered in are the only ones that you're able to obtain.
Set aside.
And we can take a break if you guys need 5 minutes. I know it's been a
I
little.
think we're good. I'll give my opinion on the 2 things, just to
Yeah.
get it started and then please chime in. I think that the arguments from a public safety perspective that were made, I don't really follow those because going where there's one already. Public convenience, to our director's point, I mean, I think that there's already one there. So you can make the argument on one side that there's not, another one needed from a convenience perspective. but promoting the public from an economic perspective of having options. I think there's value in that. My biggest challenges that I see from what I've heard here today is not as an ABC board member, but more of like if I was on a bank loan committee or like, I would not, with the information that I'm hearing today, I would not be granting a mortgage or anything towards the business that doesn't know building on how this business is going to open. I don't know what the argument is from a public safety perspective. If two businesses open and one fails, and then there's like a vacant building next door, but that's more like a city council and we're not in a city there type argument. So I don't see a lot of things from an ABC perspective that are like good arguments, but from a business perspective, I see a lot of challenges with this being successful. So that's
Not a public convenience, and they don't say, how is this a public safety concern? They just say it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gone through the letters here, and again, there is some reference to traffic. There's some reference to two liquor stores right next to each other. But we hear those arguments all the time, and we know that those are pretty much, they're very juvenile arguments, right? I mean, they are. There's no meat or potatoes to those arguments. We hear them all the time. And a lot of times there are ties. There are ties. It's an operator who's got, they've just been friends with the community, and so they've got their friends to write letters for them. And then we've locked someone out who met the requirements of law. And I guess I would look at it this way: if this building would the board, this would be for Susan too. I don't know if Susan can see this, but would the board have a problem with this if it wasn't here? Okay, all right. If it wasn't here and here, but let's just say theoretically there was a liquor store here and he was able to put his liquor store, would we have a problem with that as a board?
no.
Okay, so to me then, my argument would be, you didn't put anything in our rules and regulations on two liquor stores right next to each other. If we have a problem with this, there should be some law keeping liquor stores right next to each other. Right? Or there should be some regulation to not allow them right next to each other, but we don't have anything. And I think there's a good argument. I mean, you see gas stations open up next to each other all the time. You see Dollar Generals and Dollar Trees open up next to each other all the time. As a matter of fact, I would imagine if we were to just go through this little small stretch of community, we would see similar businesses opened up next to each other all the time. And I don't think it's a very smart business move on his part. I don't. I think it's a dumb business move on his part. And I'm with you.
Want to give away everything, okay?
But if he wants to make that business decision, I'm having a hard time, and so these signatures were getting my attention. And I think the bullet points were very fair, but these signatures were all taken in his, pretty much the main person who objects to this location. They were all taken in his business. It wasn't like these were taken out in front of a Walmart or at a county fair or someplace neutral. And what we don't know is, did Mr. Schaefer have a picture of his mugshot right next to this field? Did he have a picture of his mugshot? I know it's public information, but again.
Well, he said that some of them might have, and some might haven't, but.
So I'm having a hard time with these signatures now. And then when I read the official letters, I think I'm hearing, I mean, he's got several justice of the peaces. He's got the sheriff in here. He's got city supervisor. He's got members of the community, but nobody is telling me in their letter how it's not a public convenience or how it's a safe.
A lot of AI generated letters in there. I don't see anyone today that has shown up about this. I haven't heard from police officers that are telling us how it's a public safety concern. So
There's no studies like Arkansas.
It's not your time to speak. Thank you.
I wouldn't speak just yet. You're doing well.
Commission pays of deliberation, so it's the board.
Ms. Peacock, do you have anything you'd like to
Yeah,
add?
I was just going to say, I think you all have raised really great points. And particularly what you were saying about the mugshot and the position and the petition, and it's hard not to infuse our own values and how, I would prefer all license holders to have very clean records, never to have been in any sort of issue with the law. But then also we have to look at this from a textualist point of view. The rules, they're hard constraints and there are rules set up, and is it our place to override those rules? And I don't think that's the case, and provide our own interpretation. So if he meets the standards of receiving a license, then I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know that it's our place to object if there isn't anything that conflicts with those rules.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna go on record. I don't know if now's the good time to say it or not. I wish Katie would tell any official who calls this. If they are going to cite a traffic concern, it's not gonna bode well for me unless they have some type of a traffic engineer that said, look, this is the problem. It's
Yeah.
just not. So you might as well save the argument because it's, so they can come in and make the argument. I just, I'm having a hard, somebody give me some reason I can deny this permit. I'm having a hard time coming up with a reason we can deny it.
Yeah, agreed.
Floor requirements have been met, and I mean, the main issue that we keep coming back to is location, which was dictated by other ABC rules. The location of their house, how far away they have to be. I know they could have gone somewhere else in the county, but essentially they couldn't go to the other side of town. So I think expanded choice and competitive pricing is always better for the consumer. I don't have a reason that I can.
I'm gonna use that. Love it.
Right?
That's a great, right? That's like a lawyer.
She doesn't talk a lot, but she does.
And she does. I mean, yeah, I think that's a good point.
All right, any other thoughts before we hear a motion on the case in front of us? Anyone like to bring forward a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve the permit based on the fact that all legal requirements have been met.
Good. We have a motion on the floor to approve John Kelly's Patty Package Store at 4256 Highway 22 in Charleston. Do we have a second on said motion?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for your time today. You are excused unless you want to hear about the next group in front of us.
Good luck.
Do we want to take a 5-minute bathroom break?
Could we please?
Yes.
That would be great. I'm back in a new location. Are we officially?
Nope, that didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work.
There was some feedback. It looks like.
You're welcome.
Can you hear us?
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you. And I'm in a quieter space now too. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, either you all are very quiet or the sound's not working again.
Keep talking until Susan, you give me a count.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
You can hear me now?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. just for the preservation of the record, the hearing is now active again. We have our next person in front of, the next applicant in front of us, Mr. Justin Aguilera at the Plaza at 128 West Central in Bentonville, a restaurant mixed drink maximum permit, new application that was appealed by area residents. Were you able to hear all that, Susan? Okay. At this time, if you are either planning on giving testimony for the state, for the applicant or the opposition, and you plan to give testimony, could you please raise your right hand at this time? You all,
I'm not giving testimony.
well, anyone else, will you have anyone, any witnesses?
I'm not calling him. He's here in case y'all have a question. It's not going to be testimony.
Go ahead and have him sworn in.
Yeah, we can't ask him questions without him being sworn in. So in order for you to raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you. At this time, we can proceed with an exhibit package to start with. So we want to talk through what we've got here.
Appeal letter, the director's decision, and then the last page is another aerial map so that you can see exactly where the location is in the city, that a permit is being sought. So at this time, I'll move to have that entered as state's exhibit A 1 through 5.
Okay. At this time, is there any objection from the applicant or the opposition party on this packet being admitted? Okay, so granted. Next, we've got a pretty pink packet.
I'm glad that you learned that. But
Is this the applicant's packet?
it's the applicant's. It is relevant because it talks about some very specific things in the objection letters that Mr. Owen had submitted, including the friendly neighbor clause that says on the front, or good neighbor clause as he states it. It's also relevant in that it gives background on some of the opposition to why Mr. Owen and others might be, I can't speak for him, but why they might be against my client and his various entities there in downtown Bentonville. I will apologize. There's some salty language in it, but that's what has been put out to help garner interest from the community to oppose him and his liquor licenses. So.
And you'd be looking to have this admitted as applicant packet exhibit A?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From a state perspective, is there any objection to this being admitted at this time?
No objection.
Okay. Opposition? Okay. Said granted. So we have two packets so far, and then we have a third packet that I'm assuming is coming from the opposition. Would you like to give a little feedback on what we've got here before we?
Actually, these are the points that I would like to cover in my remarks. So it kind of, it's a hard copy document of the points that I would like to raise and share.
Okay. And this would be opposition exhibit A. That would be admitting it. Any opposition from the ABC at this time? No. Okay, so granted. So we've got three packets to work off of.
And before we get started, I probably should have mentioned this even before we did this. I spoke with Susan. I believe that she does know some people that have made comments on this case. The standard to recuse from a case is not necessarily that you know someone on the case, but that your bias or your relationship with them, or if you know something specific about that.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know anything about the facts of this permit specifically. You and Tom haven't discussed anything about what's going to be talked about today.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm comfortable with her staying on this as long as she doesn't have an opinion going into it one way or the other. Does the board have a problem with that?
No, and I do not.
No, I don't at all. For the record, should we state what the relationship is or no? I mean, that's up to you, Sue. I don't want to, just curious.
I don't know if it's a personal relationship. Susan, are you comfortable disclosing that?
Susan, can you hear us? There was a question if you were comfortable disclosing said relationship. If not, maybe we leave it to defense attorney to specifically ask. We just want to make sure all parties are transparent.
Okay. And you don't know anything, any anything about the facts of this permit specifically. You and Tom haven't discussed anything about the facts of this permit.
No.
I mean, if you all would feel more comfortable with me recusing myself, that's fine, because I do know there were other folks who signed the petition or were objecting who were sort of in my community sort of circle. So maybe it is for the best if I recuse myself, if that's okay.
You know, several of the people, I would request that you.
Okay, we will mark you down as recused. We did have, forgive me, remind me your name, Mr. Cox, who represents Mr. Aguilera. He did
I'm
say
so sorry.
if you know multiple people, that it would probably be best for you to.
Yeah,
recuse.
so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn my camera off, but if it's all right, I'd like to still listen since it's a public hearing. And then I'll still be here. I can come back on camera and on microphone when we do the other parts of our meeting.
Well, and I'd even say, Susan, if you wanted to ask questions,
She cannot.
you cannot.
I can't, no, I can't
She cannot be involved
participate.
in any part of the hearing if she's recused.
So
Okay.
I'm just gonna be an observer, like a public observer until, thank you. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you for your transparency to explain to you, like Ms. said, just to prevent any kind of bias.
No problem.
Okay,
And we still have a quorum, so the responding party.
Okay, so we'll start with opposition, then the applicant, and then the state. Or do you have anything at this point, or is it just really?
I don't have a lot to add, so
Okay.
actually I'll probably go first.
So we'll go with you, then opposition, then applicant, and then we'll start with, then we'll go into any witnesses being called by the opposition, and then applicant, and then open the hearing at that time.
Yes.
Sorry, this is the only, I think, the second in the 7 years I've been here that we've had a director's decision appeal like this. So it's a little unique on the procedure.
It's on the appealing party, so I would just give them a chance to go first and then have the last word.
Okay.
So the director did make a decision on this one. This is with regards to the plaza, which is located in Bentonville. It is directly next to the barber, which is owned, both the plaza and the barber are owned by the same person, which is the applicant that is here. There have been a number of complaints from people in the community regarding noise, and I think some outside entertaining that was happening at the barber. It is my understanding that the applicant purchased the building next door or already owned it and is going to be operating both bars. And so a lot of the noise complaints are going to be resolved by moving into that new building, which is, I think, previously the meteor. So when we were reviewing this application and the opposition letters, all of them seem to stem from the noise issue that could be resolved in itself from the barber by issuing this new permit. So we elected to go ahead and allow that to happen. We spoke with people that worked for the city, but we've never had any formal opposition. There are specific requirements we had to have, like a wet signature on an 8x10 piece of paper, and we didn't have anything like that from any city officials. There are concerned citizens because this is in a very populated area. It's in the middle of kind of like the town center, the town square, and it was very loud. So the people that were living there did have those complaints. So we did want to take that into consideration. But we did believe it was going to be resolved with this new purchase of the building next door and moving a lot of that loud music and the TVs and the dancing, everything inside to a facility to insulate some of that sound. So we did issue that permit, and you can see on the map people from the public that is opposing this. And I think a lot of his concern comes from the noise, but I again want to elaborate on his case as well. But that's generally where ABC is coming from, and all of that information.
Here as a citizen, not a lawyer, not a business owner, or a city official, I thank you for this opportunity to share some remarks. This is my first.
And call yourself to the stand, and you'll be the first party to do that. So if you want to give a brief overview and then you want to call yourself to the stand after they give an opening, that's probably how I would do it.
Yeah, so essentially it is the noise issue and compatibility within the neighborhood of the barber establishment, less so with the plaza. And to your point about a lot of this will be mitigated if the situation happening at the barber moves into the plaza. That's the first I've ever heard of that. And I've seen no evidence of that either. So I would love to still go through the 3 points that I have. I guess I call myself as my first witness.
Just let them do an opening statement, and then we'll have you call yourself and you can give a more elaborate explanation.
That concludes my opening statement. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Ladies, gentlemen, Corey Cox, I'm an attorney and lobbyist here in Little Rock. I got a call from Mr. Aguilera last week when he got the notice about this appeal. Going through some of these points here and looking at it, obviously, we believe the director made the right decision. There is nothing in any of the stuff submitted, any of the documents submitted that indicates that that was a wrong decision. Noise complaints can be subjective, clearly, but you don't have to have, for a music venue, you do not have to have a liquor license. My client could decide, okay, I don't want a liquor license, and then have a live music venue regardless. So his complaint, the people complaining about the noise, removing the liquor license does not solve the issue that they have a problem. There is a remedy for that. Noise monitoring or something that they're insufficient. So, his complaint is on my client getting a liquor license, but it's not about the liquor license itself. There is quite a bit of opposition to my client over the years that he's been, or the months that he's been operating there in Bentonville. This location was originally allowed.
I think we can probably start with questions, Mr. Hunt, if you're ready.
Okay, great. Could I go through my packet then, and these are going to raise the points that
If you have an attorney, your attorney would ask you questions, but since you're representing yourself, you could basically just give a statement of whatever through your packet you want to tell anybody.
And then we'll, as a,
Board has the opportunity to ask questions, and so does Mr. Cox.
so from just like a point of procedure, do you want us to have him give his, since he's kind of doing it himself, we want him to go through the entire thing and then the board at the end ask questions, and then after we ask questions, the applicant out?
Yes, you can ask questions at any time. The proper procedure way is let him give his full testimony. Mr. Cox and Ms. Hinojosa will have the opportunity to ask him questions, and then you guys, we let you guys kind of pipe up.
Okay.
So
So-
it's fine.
So after you, then y'all can ask questions to the staff and then us.
Thank you. I am going to use this packet as an outline of my conversation, so thank you very much. I distilled it into 3 simple points. One is the plaza and the barber are intrinsically linked, so we should consider that. So we're looking at a liquor license for the plaza. We can't discount the barber because they are linked. And as you can see by the map that I put on the first page of this, I indicated where the barber is and where the plaza is. And also there's little icons for proximity of some of the excessive noise issues and complaints that have been there, residential, businesses, an Airbnb. The second point is neighborhood compatibility. And on the second page of this packet, I actually took out the code, and I've actually become more of a student on this code than I ever imagined I'd ever have to be. And I read about this where I saw neighborhood compatibility, and there was a couple of points in there: visual compatibility of permitted activities with other area businesses or resident activity, and potential noise problems. The barber is an outdoor venue serving alcohol. It's an outdoor entertainment place. And it's adjacent to the residential neighborhoods, and there's amplified music going until 1 o'clock in the morning.
I would like to object.
Okay, on that objection.
I mean, I would agree, like at the end of the day, what is being appealed here today is the plaza. If the plaza, correct me if I'm wrong, was under the same permit in some capacity, I don't know how that could be done because they're 2 separate premises, but if they were on the same one, I'd see there being more of an argument of the barber discussions. But because we were talking about the plaza at 128 West Central, while they might have the same ownership, we've never had an argument that's landed ever in the 7 years I've been here of what's happened at another location bears weight on what we are here to review today. Now, that's not to say that the ABC doesn't have tools at its disposal to make sure that the barber is being run to meet all codes and regulations. And I'm sure, because it's been open for a little while now, that there's been, I'm sure, investigations done. I'm not privy to that, but that's where we can't do anything here today that is tied to the barber, in my opinion.
If I could just clean it up for everybody.
Sure.
The barber is a separate permit. We do not share permits. There is common ownership. The objection is based on location, and there is a common location. So I don't want to rule on the objection, but I don't want the board to hinder itself in not hearing things. I don't know. I don't know the proper.
Are these buildings connected? Is the barber shop and the plaza connected together? Because it looks like is there an actual connection between the two?
They're very close.
But they don't physically.
They're not physically connected.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there an attempt to physically attach these buildings together at any point in time?
Not there. No.
What do you mean by physically attached?
Yeah, how do you define physically attached like that on?
Was there an expansion requested that expanded one permit into another building?
Yes, no, it's not.
So there was a request. It was done.
Do they butt up to each other though? They actually physically touch each other? There may not be an entrance in between.
They are on the same.
So for the purposes of an objection hearing, the 7 factors do bear very heavily on location. So I understand the objection being to talking about the barber permit. Do with that as you will on how you might rule on your objection.
Can I counter that objection or make some?
Well, no, as long as my objection is recorded, I will let him proceed. I know it's representing himself here and being generous, but I just want to have that objection.
And I understand that for the record, just again, as you guys saw, these hearings can be kind of interesting because it's between you guys really more so than between us, but I did make a decision on this case. So I just wanted to make sure that we all understood there is a common ownership, but no permits can be shared.
Yeah, and I think for point of clarification, and we'll get into some of this in more detail, but I guess we need to be very clear on like the statements that are being made have nothing to do with at the plaza. So there's not an outdoor noise problem that you have found or the neighborhood has found at the plaza that's the application in front of us today.
You are correct.
Okay.
And where I'm going with this is kind of what you mentioned earlier, like, oh, if the situation at the barber is going to migrate into the plaza, every other bar and restaurant down there is the outdoor amplified music. It's changed the situation. The city is addressing, and I see that they're online on here too. The city is addressing that with growing pains and trying to adopt our noise regulations, doing things like that. Because it is really a situation that is untenable for some of the businesses and most of the neighbors that live in proximity to this place. Okay. So that's how they're connected, and that's thank you for your cordial nature and enforcement rules. All right. If I could proceed with just knocking out the last couple of points here. As far as compatibility, I personally have walked down the street on a Sunday after wedding stuff, never had to call once. Again, indoor thing. Excessive noise, point number 3. It really goes down to this notion of low frequency noise. Here's another issue that I never thought I'd have to become an expert on, but essentially it's the bass. We've all heard that when you're at an intersection and there's a car next to you with their windows rolled up and you hear that thumping bass. That is what I like. Our bedroom is like every night until 1 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy. And it actually gets worse between 12:45 and 1 a.m. when they call last call that I can hear. Last call and the music actually goes up louder. And it's 79.8. And at that time after midnight, it's supposed to be 65 decibels or less. You mentioned that I did have in here that the city has devices that are not adequate for measuring low volume, bass, and noise. That's part of the thing they're looking at in their regulations to do a better job of how do we codify this and make it a subjective thing, an objective thing, as opposed to a subjective thing. This is too loud. You need to get those regulations and ordinances up to date. So I view this as some of the growing pains of Bentonville, but also just having a good neighbor and representing a good attitude about how to fit in with the rest of the community in and around there. And again, I draw from 14 years of experience of living downtown and never having any issues ever until this happened. And when the barber first applied for their permit, it was done under the guise of small duo performances of music. And then after all these complaints of months and months, there was an appeal and it was changed to DJs and laser lights and everything else. So it's kind of like the goal line shifted. And at no point has the neighborhood ever been contacted, engaged, asked questions. And it's just really, it's a tough thing. We submitted 26, 28, I forget how many, but over a couple dozen people submitted a signature saying, please help. You know? And the decision was made, you know, public convenience and advantage. I've heard that term a lot today, about this license. To me, I got said you have to be here at 9 a.m. in person in Little Rock. So here I am from Bentonville, try to just share what's going on up there. Thank you very much.
Or Arkansas law.
Rookie mistake. Thank you.
At this time, are there any questions from the applicant for Mr. Hohen?
There are. Yes, sir, there are. Mr. Hohen, if you would, please look at the state exhibit at what's marked number 5. Here is the map. For the record and for the board, can you tell me where your house appears on this
Sure.
bigger house thing?
It's just off the bottom page here. If you actually look at the image that I have on my packet, the little map that I have, same thing.
Well, yeah, but for the convenience of the board here, you're saying that you're not on.
The back of my house is on this map. If you're trying to say I'm too far away.
Well, no, I'm making a point.
Okay.
How far are you from the plaza?
Probably about as close as those 2 liquor stores were going to be in the previous session that we just had. If you look at the barber in the corner of Northwest 2nd, and Northwest 8th, that kind of grayish thing with white umbrellas around it. The noise travels directly to, the speakers are headed this way, directly to the lower left corner of this map. And if it goes across a parking lot here, which is an Arvest drive-through, white building down below is the record that I talked about. And the green trees are the 4 houses that I've indicated on my map, of which I am on the one on the one immediately to the left of that white building called the ring.
So how many would you say, 2 blocks?
It doesn't matter the distance. It's,
Well, no,
yeah. I would say it's not 2 blocks, a block, a little over a block.
a little over.
And again, it's
The plaza, not the bar, the plaza. That's what we're
The
talking about,
plaza's even closer.
even closer. So, before the plaza, became the plaza, were you aware that it was the meteor?
Oh, yeah.
And do you know what the meteor, what kind of venue it was?
Yes, live music, entertainment vendor, and I never had an issue with it once.
Did you happen to know the owner?
I know him by sight, less.
Since last key? I'm curious if you know what Les Key is doing today.
I think he has another venue out in Centerton.
Will you be at his venue on August 8th?
I've never been to his venue.
But will you be on
No,
August
I
8th?
am not planning.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening on August 8th.
Apparently Fashion Week. Maybe you're the community, what was it? It was community, but anyway. But so anyway, you there's a connection. And there were a lot of people that were upset about Les losing his. Were you upset when Les lost his lease?
I was sad, but I was pragmatic about it. When that building went for sale, downtown Bentonville went for sale for $4 million. And I said, that's got to be the end of the meteor, because there's no way in his business model he could recoup that kind of thing. And I said, things are going to change, and that's going to really negatively impact that business. And guess what? We did.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I don't think I have anything further questions. Board.
I think I have some questions for you guys. Are we able to consider this together? I think
Are we able to consider these together? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't feel like we can consider anything happening at the bar or at the plaza. I mean, if it was not a common owner, would we be sitting here today? Is it a common permit? There's no attachment? I'm
The
just
public
having a hard-
convenience and advantage factors, there are 7 to be made by the director. If the director receives an application, it is valid, and the public has provided a bunch of objection letters. If they put their wet signature on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and their address, we will send them notice that says, this permit has been approved over your objection. You have a right to appeal. I assume you've received that letter. He said, oh, I have a right to appeal, so I'm going to appeal the director's decision to the board. Just like if the opposite had happened and I had denied the permit, I'm sure Mr. Aguilera would have said, well, I'm going to appeal this to the board. And he obviously has the right to appeal because it's his permit. But our law provides the right to appeal to any party who has made themselves a part of the situation, to which in this scenario, Mr. Hunt did by filing his original objection letter and then by properly filing an appeal based on the letter we sent him.
It's just the second time in the 7 years I've been here it's ever happened, so it's not common.
It is not common. It is still a de novo review, but it is a review of my decision. I look at the 7 factors and I also look at the catch-all factor. In this case, there is common ownership. In this case, there is an issue with the noise level at the barber. In this case, we are under the understanding that a lot of the things causing the noise are likely to move indoor at the plaza instead of, or this hearing is about the plaza. But the factor that is listed in our rule book that gives me any other factor to consider, I considered in this point. This is also a de novo review, but I am privy to some other information throughout applications of what the plan has been in the past, which is why I asked questions about, was there originally a plan to expand? There was. We can't expand into separate buildings, so that plan was not approved by me. The secondary plan to open a second license was heed any advice given to him by the board.
And we can't, procedurally, we can't say like to appease Mr. Hohen, hey, we're going to approve this, but we're going to say that there's no more loud music allowed at the barber because it's already in place.
Correct. You could
And
not,
so
you could not put any conditions or any legal enforcement rulings or anything on the barber. This appeal is on the granting of a permit at the plaza. So the objection is noted that the relevancy on what you can actually rule on is the plaza, but there is common ownership, there is common location, which I think does bring it into consideration of the fact.
But the barber would still have to, regardless of the outcome, could address issues that are being brought forward today that we can't do anything about from our side.
I think I've already said to this morning, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
ABC accepts complaints at any time of day on any location at any time. There could be a world where instead of this being an appeal to the new location, this was a complaint on the old location. There could be a world that happened. This is the world we're sitting in today.
Yeah.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, I get it. Is that I was about to ask Susan about her. She's
Can I
Yeah,
ask
no.
about the, oh, sorry.
No, go. No,
Did you say the request to connect the buildings was denied by ABC?
Yes.
And are you allowed to tell us why?
I mean, I'm not testifying. If you guys have questions for me, I will tell you, but this is a de novo review. So your ruling should be based on the evidence you hear today,
I
but
do.
sometimes it helps to understand procedurally.
I did hear you say that it couldn't be done. It was basically because they're not connected, it couldn't fall under one.
Maybe, I'm not sure, Mr. Cox, it sounds like you didn't plan on having the client testify.
They had- I think that's what you're saying is it started off with trying to be one, but when it was submitted to the ABC, it was not approved because they don't physically touch.
I see.
So
Correct.
then-
I cannot have 2 buildings sharing one permit. So sometimes people are creative and they're like, well, I'm going to expand into this area. Well, you can expand into a patio area, but you can't expand into another building because now you're sharing a permit with a separate building.
Unless,
Overhang and make it to where people can get in and out, and there was just no way for them to be able to connect the 2 buildings in a proper way that abided by all the ABC rules. So the only option to license this building was to get a whole new permit.
So people will not be moving back and forth between the 2 buildings anyway, shape.
Well,
people can move freely.
Well, without exiting one and getting.
they'll have to exit.
And I don't believe it's an entertainment area, so I'm not sure that they can take a drink out with them. So they would be consuming a beverage.
Do like a Dixon Street or something where you go out of one bar and you go to one next bar.
Well, but it's like, but respectfully, and I don't mean that, I was up in Bentonville earlier, this year for the rural health transformation, meeting they had up there. And quite surprised, obviously, living in Arkansas my whole life. I've been to Bentonville a lot, but that downtown has just exploded. And I completely get why there's some people that are sort of apprehensive about all of it, but there's new hotels, there's amphitheater going in, and there's bars all over, and you can just go from bar to bar.
So,
And
Mr. Cox,
I just want to be sure that we're not having the attorney testify.
Yes, I'm not
We
testifying.
want information about the area. Mr. Aguilara can agree to testify, but our attorney should not be testifying.
That's not testimony.
Sure.
That is.
well, you're just gonna have to stop it. Because I don't know
I will
that
do
we-
my best.
Well, here's my question then.
And
So-
really, we're still asking him questions at this point. So
Okay.
you all do you have any other further questions for Ms. Cohen? So, and the ABC's asked there, so is there any other questions that we have regarding what Mr. Cohen has said at this time?
I just have a question. So the previous bar or entertainment venue was the Meteor. And it was outdoors and you didn't have the similar.
The previous location, the plaza was called the Meteor. That's the indoor venue. The Barber is an outdoor venue and it used to be called the Dive.
Oh, so
And
that's.
they had drinks and music and stuff, but never excessive to the degree, never all the years that they were done.
More questions from the board for Mr. Hone?
Okay.
Do you have any witnesses?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to talk about what you brought?
Well, it just goes to what we were discussing earlier. There was love for folks that made it was established bar and venue. But things happen. And a new owner is there. That does not mean that the new owner is a bad guy. It means that he now is the new owner. And being a small, close-knit community, I get that people can get upset about it. But this man has a right to buy property. He has a right to run a business. And whether or not he has a liquor license, as I said, this can still be a live music venue. The only thing that makes the plaza relevant to his concerns is that he also owns the bar. And, if you look through all of these bunch of stuff, that it has nothing to do with what's really before you. It has to do with emotions. It has to do with maybe nostalgia. So that's what all that is. That's just people essentially driving the car.
Well, I'm gonna ask my question now because you brought it up, but so the state has said that there is plans to move what's happening at the Barber into the plaza. Is that true?
Well, I mean, you're not going to move everything from the Barber to the plaza, but I'm not really sure exactly how to answer your question, right? Is he going to be completely happy now? I don't know.
No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is the state has said they believe that a lot of the music going on at the Barber is going to move into the plaza. Are you aware of that? Have you heard of that from your client?
Well, I have not had those conversations.
Okay.
But then again, I was not on the front end of understanding this, but I cannot testify that I know what will happen either way.
Okay.
But I do know that regardless, the Meteor was there. And this is gonna.
What are you planning to do about the music plants in the Barber and moving it over into the plaza?
I'm using style.
What's
Style. So there's no issues. Do you have the cops go and they go ahead and do decibel reading? No issues. the decibel reader that he's showing, that's from his phone. This individual goes to the corner, puts his phone by the speaker and screenshots it. Better equipment, even though all of this is outdoor speakers, that we have that are, permit into, patio speakers. And then when we have, yes, they can be upset, but there's change, but it's changing soon. The downtown is becoming more lively, there's more people coming in, more people living, younger people are coming out. There's Walmart's obviously in Bentonville and getting new talent. So it's one of those things where people are coming to enjoy, and they have a spot where they can enjoy. That's what my whole business is to make sure people have a good time, people can interact and have fun.
Board have any questions, Mr. Aguilera?
I have.
And then have you had any complaints on, not related to the barber, so in regards to the plaza that we're here about today, has there been?
Our people, but one of the only, one of the few, establishments that have full security. So we make sure that we make sure people know that we do have security, we stamp everybody. Check IDs, we got scanners, so there's no issue with the dive bar, which was the bar previously before the barber. They had outdoor music and they were playing loud music, techno, different types of vibes. But when I come in and create my business, it's become an issue. When I then go into the media, establish that, became an issue. So it really has no fact that the bars are the same. It's just the fact that they didn't like people who came in from outside, coming in and disturbing what Bentonville was. But our whole thing, like I said, we're for the community. We participated with all the different community events. We don't do anything wrong. Make sure that we're to the highest level of the law and make sure that, most importantly, that our patrons are safe.
Any other questions at this time? Will we move to,
You can do brief closing, statement, closing argument. This will be your opportunity to kind of wrap up, explain your closing argument. Mr. Cox, you can go next. Ms. Hinojosa will clear us up.
Thank you very much. In closing, I'd like to bring up 4 points that were brought up. The whole new owners, not a bad guy. I do not represent that point of view. That is a red herring. I don't know what they're talking about. I knew people were unhappy about it. This has nothing to do. I'm pro-business, and it has nothing to do with personalities or change of ownership or coming from outside or anything like that. It's clearly about the noise levels in the neighborhoods. The downtown change, I am the biggest proponent of embracing of that change, and I love the liveliness that has happened between 14 years ago to today, and have been part of that active change going on. And as far as incident reports, you're asking things like this, I FOIA'd the police, and this is a number of months ago, but I got 30 different incident reports from the police of different behavior issues, things like this going on around the Barbara. I haven't done it in a
This is closing statement at this point.
So I haven't done that in a while. So I would really say all you want, but I've seen it firsthand, and I was also looking at the incident reports. Not something I called in, just things that were happening. So I just urge you to just think that yes, change is happening. Growing pains are tough in a place that you just mentioned. It's just really exciting what's going on there, and we're all part of that. We just need to learn how to live in harmony and get together and work together to make a better Bentonville and a better Arkansas. So thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Folks, again, I would ask that you would uphold the director's decision. I know, all due respect for Mr. Hohen, but he said that he didn't have a problem with the new owner, but then on page 2, he says owner attitude to this is just so, change happens. you should not punish this man. What's going on at a different location that he owns. Is there some relevance? I won't see if there's some relevance, but this is a separate application that is being appealed because allow my client to continue with his business there in Bigville. That's all I have.
And the only thing that I want to add is this is about the plaza. It's not about the park. The director agreed to issue the permit for the plaza, which is just the building, even though I know that there were active complaints from the citizens, maybe to the police department for the noise ordinances. I don't think that we have any violations on file for the barber. I think that maybe this would be an opportunity to express that there's a community that wants a quieter environment at the barber and that the noise could move into the plaza, but I don't think that it needs to be taken into consideration necessarily for the decision on whether or not the plaza should be allowed to continue operating in the same fashion. There wasn't an official contingency that the permit they had to agree to stop music at the barber in order to get the permit at the plaza. But the noise complaints have obviously been a topic of discussion, and it was expressed to the permit holder that we would really appreciate and the community would appreciate moving that loud music into an indoor facility, which I think was the purpose of this, at least based on the conversations that we had. So that is why we chose to go ahead and issue that permit. Again, we went over the factors that you considered earlier. There are 7, which is the number of factors or the number of permits in the area, the type of permit that he is seeking to get today, the location and whether or not traffic is an issue, what type of condition the building is in, what impact it's going to have on churches in the community, any input from local law enforcement, and then any opposition or support from the community. So all of that can be taken into consideration whenever you're making your decision today on whether or not to hold it to it. And whether not he has a previous permit, if the location was previously permitted.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and whether the building, sorry, if the building's in good condition, whether it's previously permitted, can be taken into consideration. So we ask that you consider those 7 factors as we did whenever the director reviewed this and chose to issue the permit. But just keep in mind, this is only for the plaza and not for the barber when making that decision. Thank you.
So we as a board will be making a decision to file a motion to either uphold the director's decision and issue the license, or a motion to deny or overturn the director's decision and deny the permit are the 2 options that we will be looking at here today.
And that is correct. You guys are now free to deliberate, and it is just the 3 of you making this decision. So.
Mine's got a question.
Yeah.
So on this social media post, it says there's a friendly neighbor clause with ABC, and if you get too many complaints, you get your liquor license revoked. Have you all received any calls about this? Or is it?
I personally have not, but I think most of you know I don't answer the front desk. So I don't know that we have a record of any in the last 3 weeks. I feel like I would have been notified on that.
I haven't been notified of that, and I think that somebody would brought it to me knowing that was the case.
And I believe this was our respondents exhibit packet. We didn't go through all of it, but it was admitted if you want to take a look.
No, I know it's mostly unrelated.
Sure.
And then also in the exhibit that he presented, neighborhood compatibility.
Rules are meant to clarify statutes. Give me just a second to review and make sure I know which one I'm at. So what this is referring to is the application that someone submits and what the application needs to, what information needs to be on the application for us to make a decision. Visual compatibility of permitted activities with other area business or resident activity. I think that's to say, if they submit us an application that says, I'm going to be a Mexican restaurant with live entertainment and margaritas, but then their pictures are a water park, I can deny the permit on the basis of there's not congruency between what they say they're going to do and what's appropriate for that area or what's visually represented. I believe. Never actually had to
That was a great example.
dive as deep in, but that's what I'm thinking it is.
How do you ever consider how do you issue a permit based on not having excessive noise? Is it a statement only from the applicant that says, hey, look, we're not going to have excessive noise? Is this usually enforced on the back end or on the?
Usually enforced on the back end. And that's why I think it's interesting too. A lot of our applications are basically promises. I mean, there are certain things you have to acknowledge, like, yeah, I've read the rule book. Yeah, I'm gonna buy from certain wholesalers and only them, because that's what the law says. So a lot of it is just like that example, buying from wholesalers. They attest that they're gonna buy from a proper place, but we don't actually know that they do until afterward. So it is kind of one of those things where, based on what the business plan and to maybe give a more reasonable explanation, if they had said, I want, let's think like the amphitheater, Little Rock, the big amphitheater down here by the river. We suspect that that's a concert venue that's going to play loud music. If it was much smaller and in the middle of a neighborhood, but was still shaped like an amphitheater with no walls, and they still said, we want to have Fergie or whoever come here and it's going to be really loud, I don't know that I could trust their attestation that it would be remaining quiet. In a situation like this, where in my mind, we are moving from a more open, loud to a smaller, contained, that factored into my decision. But to your point, a lot of it we can't know until the back end. So we're just judging based on what they've put in their application.
And there's not anything in the clause that has like an outdoor component in their premise.
I don't believe so.
It's all inside. So there's not like a smoking patio or anything.
That I'm not sure without looking at it directly, but
It's all.
I don't believe it's, yeah. But we also don't have any requirement on any of our permits that someone can't step outside and swim somewhere, for,
But there's not like
that's specific.
speakers tied into whatever performing inside.
Not that we've been made aware of,
Yeah.
no. And so, yeah, a lot of what this CAR is referring to is what needs to be visible in the application to us. And most of those applications, as you guys know, we vet through all the paperwork, pictures, check, make sure we don't have any objections. And if I don't see a legal reason why not to approve a permit, I generally do.
We open it up to the board?
Yeah. Yeah, we are open for.
We are, okay. Mr. Howland, I appreciate you coming. My thought here is there is nothing to reject this on. The director said she did not approve this based on music being brought in from the other venue. I think his lawyer has stated, look, we're not aware of the complaints. I guess what I would say is I think like your excessive noise here, on the back end, you could file a complaint. I would encourage you to file a complaint with the ABC on anything you feel the barber is violating. And maybe there's an avenue to bring them in line if there's some complaints brought to the ABC for the barber. Maybe we can help. But as far as I can see, these are two totally separate permits. And I don't know, I mean, it sounds like potentially he's not abiding by some things in his first permit, in which case I would encourage you to file a complaint. The second permit, it kind of seems like he's going to be doing exactly what the Meteor was doing, which is playing music in there. So I don't think that you're going to get any additional loud noises. It sounds like than what you've had. And so for me, it's just really, really hard. I don't see any grounds to deny the new permit. I do see some grounds it looks like you might have filing some complaints on the existing permit, in which case I would encourage you to do that. And it sounds like we'll investigate this. But for right now, I just don't see a world in which we can deny the class this permit.
Okay. I mean, based on what I've heard today from Mr. Hohen, not what you're going to want to hear in this, but it's almost like you would think that if all the issues are with the barber, and if this had any chance of making it remotely less warm up at the beginning of the night, people start at one and go to the other. I don't know how they run their stuff on that regard, but I would think that it would be a pro thing if the large portion of this is moving us inside versus if it does get, denied, then they're going to still have the barber and then they're just going to be doubling down on everything staying outside, which doesn't solve the current problem that you have until city ordinances get changed and, something is found to be in violation, but it sounds like from a city perspective right now, they're not in violation, but I'm sure that rules change all the time and they'll do their best to continue to stay within compliance, but that's an unconventional thought to do that you might not like hearing, but yeah, that's my thought on that.
I just don't know that there's much this board.
I'm sorry.
I don't know that there's much this board can do. Is kind of where we're at.
I understand your testimony about the barber can lend to his being able to be a good neighbor on the plaza. But I just think the issues would be irrelevant in an urban use, so other than that. We're ready.
You did go up, anyone do this one?
Sure. I will make a motion to uphold the director's decision to grant a privilege license to the plaza.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
So I appreciate you guys for the way you appeared today.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
And then we have our ABC administrative
Yeah,
updates.
now the boring stuff. Cherie, do you have a PowerPoint for me? If not, that's okay. Okay.
Hi, Susan, welcome back.
Our member of the interested public, our Bentonville resident, I think. Are you in Bentonville, Susan?
There we go. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to be in the public a little bit. You don't have to make the tough decisions.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so I do have a PowerPoint for you today. Thank you, Cherie. Good. I did, and before we hop into that, I want to, one, thank you for the information, Cherie, and two, I want to readdress something we talked about earlier. Alex, you had asked about the improper destruction of alcohol bottles.
Yes.
That is a violation, and it is a actual violation that occurred. Doesn't happen often, and this would be the first time that I've seen one.
When there's two of them in there.
Yes, Cherie went and looked up the incident reports. What had happened was an individual was repurposing. So you are not allowed to refill an alcohol bottle. If you sell a certain type of sake, for instance, and you have a certain percentage on one, and then you want to rebottle it into a different bottle, you have to make sure that the label is approved and registered with us. So no bottles can be refilled, and there was an enforcement action where they uncovered someone was refilling some bottles.
So what if, like, say you had a patio and you had like a live band outside and you set up like a temporary bar out there and you had a bottle of Smirnoff vodka. Well, then you got done with the event and you brought the liquor back in and you didn't need two half-full Smirnoff bottles.
You could not pour it.
You cannot pour them back.
Incident, it did look like a mistake and not more of an ignorance of the law, not an intent to skirt the law.
Not like buying Heaven Hill and putting it into like a
I
great
don't
big
think that was what was happening, no. But thank you, Cherie, for looking that up for us, because that is a violation that I have not seen before. So I was like, I think I messed that up, and that was not true.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yes. Okay, so, we thank you guys for your patience today. Get you out of here way before 11 hours. We have been doing seminars in this room. Our next one is August 7th. In July, we had a pretty busy month. Lots of offers have been sent out, 54 offers covering 81 violations and 7 warnings. Fine amounts just over $25,000. We have not had directors' hearings since we last saw you, but we do have some scheduled. On the marijuana side of things, 13 offers covering 224 violations and 11 warnings. The fine amount right over 32,000 there. We don't have any directors' hearings scheduled at the moment. Next up, I think we just have to set our November board hearing, which is crazy. We have August 19th, September 23rd, October 21st, and we're looking at November 18th. I have no idea when Thanksgiving is, so I don't know if we're close to it at all.
Thanksgiving is on the 27th.
Okay. So the 18th, probably a good day if that works for y'all.
Yeah, that should be good. Or you wouldn't be the 18th. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, so I was on the wrong month. So
I was like, second guessing myself.
You're like, hold on, what?
ABC on Wednesday night.
And I guess I haven't asked in a while. You guys can change your day or your time if for any reason you would want to. Marijuana is in this room at 2 o'clock on Thursdays. Tobacco is in this room at 10 a.m. on Thursdays. I think that's the first Thursday of the month for both of them. If for some reason it was better for you guys to do the afternoon, I know you're not all Little Rock people. So I just hadn't asked in a while. If there is any appetite for change, we're always open to working with y'all schedules.
You know, it's funny you should bring that up. A lot of, Hannah, do you guys want to move to a 10 o'clock meeting? I am totally fine, just so you're aware, but I know some people are driving in.
My company is a 9 a.m. on Wednesdays that I miss. So
So you miss a day. If you guys want to start at 10, 10:30, 2 o'clock, up to you. Now, the caveat with that is if we do have a
Oh, you are, okay, all right. Good.
Yes.
You, Susan, what would help you to
Yeah,
go to a
it's
10
us.
o'clock? Does
Well,
that help?
typically when we, typically since we start at 9, what I'll do is drive in the Tuesday prior, and then I've got family in Little Rock, so it makes it easy. And then I just try to get out of Little Rock and miss any sort of rush hour by leaving at like 1. So if we moved it to a 10 o'clock, I'd more likely just drive down the morning of. And the question is, what time do we wrap so that, you know, we're not hitting major traffic on the way back north?
and
Alex,
most
what's
of
your?
the time, sorry to interrupt you. I was gonna say most of the time, I would
To the best of your ability, if you're like, hey, it's gonna be a longer day, I would encourage on those days, we try to, not like the night before, be like, we're pushing it to 9, but like give people enough time to like adjust, you know, in those types of scenarios. But I'm gonna come down either way the night before. And if anything, I can take a meeting here before the day starts. So I mean, it doesn't affect me either way.
Yeah, Alex, it kind of sounds like for you and I, the way that we have arranged it, the 9 a.m. start time is perfectly fine because we're already in town. But it's more about, to Alex's point, we don't want to be in a situation where then we're away from our families for 2 nights. So yeah, we can start earlier on those longer meeting days.
Yeah.
and we will always give as much heads up as we can. Oftentimes we
The ABC and the previous chairman had a slightly different way of doing things sometimes.
how do you
Like,
know that for real?
so like Fred Black, who ran the board before me, like he would go in and like if he thought it was gonna like people were gonna draw it out, he was like, guys, I'm calling for a vote in 2 hours. So if you want to drag this out, just know that I'm calling a vote because I'm getting on the road back to Lake Village. So if you want to make it quick,
Return for being arbitrary and capricious just because we didn't give them enough time to make their argument.
yeah,
Because if they don't have the right to be heard, if we didn't properly give the other side the opportunity to cross-examine them, those are all things that could catch us later. The big main thing is your decision based on evidence or is it arbitrary capricious? That's our main holdup. So as long as we give everyone enough time to present what they came to present, I think we would survive any allegation that we did something arbitrary.
and he never, in his credit,
We didn't
actually,
actually do it.
but
He
he
just
said,
threatened.
he put like the fear out there, like, don't drag this out.
And I think that's fair to, if you guys want to start having a little more say up there to be like, hey, we don't want to be here for 5 hours, I think that hopefully that's a clue to the attorneys too, to
Well, and I'll try to, from like a board chairperson, like sometimes you go into these hearings and you'll hear like the same thing, like 4 times in a row, the same statements of people opposing for the same things. So then like, I know that like we want everyone to be heard, but then like, we do have the authority to be like,
yes.
we don't, if we've already heard this argument, we're not hearing
Yeah,
it
like
again.
legislators, if that happens, like they will limit the debate to like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and in court, it's like, that's been asked and answered, move on.
Yeah.
So if you have an attorney worth their salt and they've been in court, they're probably gonna make that objection before we have to, but that's where these get interesting is we don't always have a lot of attorneys. A lot of it is today where they represent themselves, they don't really know the procedure, so we kind of have to walk them through, and I do appreciate that that takes a little bit more time.
So like if we had, say, 2 people that were in front of us, they were self-representing, could I as a chairman be like, guys, we're moving forward, this has been asked and answered?
Yeah.
I can say that,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So I can push it forward on that.
I think there's an
Don't you
opportunity.
do it even if there's some attorneys?
Well, they would, yes.
But they will be attorneys about it more. Just have so much information procedurally that I have to help them sometimes and be like, look, messing it all up. Here's how we do it.
Yeah.
So all that being said, whatever you guys decide, we will work with. A 9 a.m. start time is good for long hearings, but I'm not opposed to 10. If you guys want to vote on it or you want to table it and we talk in August, that's fine too.
I'm okay with 10 from my perspective. It's because, I mean, I'd say 60–70% of the time, it's either like we have one hearing or it's like ratifying of the stuff.
It really just kind of, it really just kind of depends on the fact.
I don't think Christie's making it.
I wouldn't want to cross her. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I think, yeah. And then if you want to, like, as you're building the agenda, like, you want to send an email out to probably the whole board, doesn't have to be just to me, and be like, hey, guys, like, this one's looking like it could run longer. Are y'all good with moving it up to 9? And then, like, but the panel's like, hey.
So you guys know that decision would need to be made at least 3 days before the board. So we post our agenda publicly 3 days before the board meeting. So if we're going to change the time, we'll need to know
That'd be like, so
the
you
Friday before, essentially.
So could like an email be sent out like on like that Thursday,
Yes.
by that Thursday to be like, hey, like, we're needing to make a decision tomorrow on this, and then we have a 24-hour response window, and then it's based on.
Well, we can't really have a lot of back and forth outside of a public meeting.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you send an email out on Thursday, does this time work? And we ought to respond by Friday saying like, yes or no.
But I don't want that to be standard practice every meeting. I only want that to happen if there's going to be a long.
Yeah, that's what I'm
If
saying.
there's like 3 hearings, we go ahead and move it to 9 or something like
Yeah.
that.
That's a good, like. if
Or it could
we-
be 1 if it's like peppermint hippo.
Right.
And then, yeah, you'll have the discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all, I mean, if it's like a real naughty list person that like.
We think it's going to take some time.
Or, I mean, you knew their attorney was going to approach it with the
Right.
other court. involved.
Right. Yeah.
And-
Okay. So August 19th, do we want to start at 9 or 10?
We can try to.
Do we know? Do we have a hearing in August? Do we know yet?
Not that I'm,
That is the problem of
but I don't
doing this
know if
without
that would
reading.
happen.
So let's say we'll start at 10,
Yeah.
August 19th, and unless you hear from me, we will be 10 o'clock going forward. We will also probably put some sort of banner on our website to let the public know that there's been a time change. So if you guys see that, don't be surprised by that. All right, any other questions, concerns with the way meetings go or communication with the agency, anything like that?
No, but can you send me, these 7?
Factors? Yep.
Send me the 7. I just like it for sure.
We need to have like a board, you know, like a particle board that like we put on like an easel that it's.
We honestly probably could, if y'all want one. We
You
can
just set it
look at
right there and then it's like in front of everyone to be like, these are what you have.
noodling around on what that looks like. I don't want to promise any timeline. I don't want to promise any specific changes. The way that rules work, if you want a change, we draft it. We have to get approval by general counsel of DFA, the secretary of DFA. Then goes to the governor's office. If they approve, it comes to you guys to approve and open for public comment.
But we can initiate the promulgation.
You can ask us to do, we would draft it for you because we're your
Here's
staff.
something you would like us to
I
ask.
don't know, and that's the thing.
Probably don't want any.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's very, it is a ton of work. It is both of our least favorite parts of our job is rule promulgation, I think. Is that fair? It is a lot of steps. It's a lot of getting people on board. Then you have public comment. So people say, I like your idea, but let's change it all up. Then the public gets in here and tells you why they yes or no want something. Then we have to make the judgment calls of are they right, are we right? Since we don't have a really firm, like, let's change this, I wouldn't say let's get ahead of ourselves, try to change something when we don't have a clear plan. But if we start through these hearings formulating some change that we think we need to see, we can discuss that. It's not anything that will happen quickly, and it is something that the industry will certainly have feelings about. So it very well could turn into a huge public comment hearing where everybody's like, oh, I'm crazy, don't do that. I don't know. It depends on what we say too.
But y'all do every so often rule promulgation just in general. And so like it could be whenever it's like, hey, we're gonna have to do it regardless. And we stack on as part of that with the other public hearings and everything, it gets layered in as something. Doesn't mean that we couldn't be working on how that's one.
Much change. And now our rule book is obsolete because our rule book was based on the old statute. So say the statute changed and said, you can have a liquor store next to a church if you want. We would have to go in and re-promulgate new rules to undo the part of our rule book that currently says you can't do it. That part makes sense? So last legislative session, they changed the ABV on beer. So we are in the middle of promulgating, and that tells you how long it takes. We are promulgating new rules that you guys will eventually see that has that adjustment on ABV, and we're gonna ask. So with that statutory change, we're gonna have to promulgate new rules to clarify our rules. All that to say, yes, we can tuck it in when there are other required projects, but sometimes it just depends on what the required project is. Cause like ABV is so cut and dry, we're changing the number from 1014 or whatever it is. That's it. There's not gonna be a lot of stuff for people to comment on, but if we have something very dry like that and we put something that people might have feelings on attached with it, it could mess up this side.
Or, yeah, anything beyond like a statute change that's cut and dry, like we would need, if we wanted to sort of piggyback on it, like you're talking about, we would need a little bit of notice though, because we can't talk about it other than.
Right. And that's what we could do too, is we could add it as an agenda item when we don't have a hearing for just a discussion item. And we can all sit around and just kind of brainstorm.
And have to do like.
What factors do we think actually make sense? And so then you guys can start the discussion with us here at a public meeting. People can see it. They can come up and talk if they want to, but it won't be a formal thing. So then that way you guys will have clear direction of where we're headed. By the time those rules are here for you to approve and open public comment, you guys already like them because you've been involved in the discussion from the front end.
Would it be something you'd want to just have like a, kind of like an open thing on like any rule things of like,
We have to protect our peace a little bit. So
I mean, like, for example, like Andrew comes in like, hey, I've also heard about, I've had 3 people call and they've had really big issues with different cleanups. You know, people will call and I don't know if y'all get those calls. I haven't got one in a little while, but like you used to get more of them in like, in a discussion as the board, not in the public input of like.
But we have to, but it has to be discussed at a public meeting. So that's the thing too, is we always just want to make sure that like we've discussed it, so that way we're not causing some sort of other political thing. Where my mind went to was like today, when they were talking about, we don't have a location to pick because of the church and schools rule. If y'all want to change the church and schools rule, we'd have a location to pick. Some of those are gonna open up a huge can of worms. So it may be kind of a flippant, like, well, yeah, let's change that. And then I'm like, whoa, hold on. We don't know what we're gonna make mad. So some things that just is gonna depend on the political nature, of what the outcome is.
Difficult since we can't discuss.
Yeah.
Well, like an example of one that's like been brought to me in the past, was, like axe throwing bars. There's like a rule in the rule book that you can't have a knife over a certain,
I've already handled that one.
so that's been fixed.
An axe is a piece of sporting equipment when used in the arena of axe throwing. There is a director's memo that touches on that from last summer.
Okay.
It was creative lawyering.
That's a great example though.
Like something like, there was like a rule in there that like the previous administration was like, you can't have a knife longer than 4 inches in any situation in a bar. And so even if we grant a license, an ABC enforcement officer and their interpretation was like, they could write them a violation for having an open blade per statute, whatever, even though they had a permit because of like something, because that permit, those rules were created when axe throwing bars were like a thing.
And you bring up another layer by accident that you didn't even mean to. The way that I resolved the issue with axe throwing was not rule promulgation. It was through a director's memo. Director's memos are clarifying only. It is for me to explain my interpretation of a rule. So I'm not making a new rule. I'm just explaining my interpretation of a rule. So in that director's memo, I explained that my interpretation of the rule would be that it will be considered a piece of sporting equipment, just like a golf club at Topgolf or a baseball bat at a batting cage, when used for the purposes of axe throwing. So I didn't change a rule, but I did clarify. So there are things in our rule book that maybe I can clarify through director's memo if they become issues, as long as we don't cross that line into actually legislating and changing the rules or changing.
Yeah.
So there's layers of statute, rules, director's memos. So just things for y'all to talk about. I know you didn't think we were going to talk about all this, but as I was thinking about things that were said, it is something spoken with someone about to make sure that we know, because I'm not going to waste their time reviewing something they have no interest in. And I also have to go through my boss first. So if he's like, I think this is a terrible idea and I don't like it, then I would have to come back and tell you, like, I don't have the first step of approval to keep going.
You know, let's say we looked at a lot of these cases, say this is over the last 3 years. I would want to start with cases that possibly we were losing in circuit courts because
Yeah.
they deemed us arbitrary and capricious. Then I would want to start there and say, okay, well, let's back up and how do we clarify that
That's a
to
very.
make sure that we make good decisions and a clear ruling in the future. So
We are waiting on a ruling from the Supreme Court on a brand issue.
right.
So as a starting off point, I agree. But it just kind of got me thinking as we were talking
There's
factors.
not
And
much there.
I don't think the factors
Right.
provide me a lot of guidance. So I would suspect they don't provide y'all a lot of guidance in making those decisions either. I don't know how to make it better. I think it would be a brainstorming with all of us on how to make it better. I don't have an idea off the top of my head. I just think they could use work. And please know that our staff is stretched very thin, but I do want to give you guys the opportunity to tell me when you want to see things improved.
We have rolling authority on medical marijuana. Or do we just do provide?
So it's very complicated. You
I
do.
probably don't even want to mess with.
Well,
it. Curious.
You may or you may not. So violations of marijuana permit holders come to the ABC, but licensing of marijuana goes to MMC. So there's actually two sets of rules. So you may have authority on one part and not the other. So it depends on what we'd be looking at.
Okay, because that was one thing I've been approached about. Times since they drive. And then I think. we
That's
addressed
commission
that.
rules. Yeah,
Yeah.
not your purview. I don't believe.
Good.
Well, good for you. Yeah.
So
Well, we appreciate you telling us and I'm fine with just leaving it
For
live
now.
for now.
okay, so 10 o'clock, August 19th. Anything else?
No, I think that's all. Thank you all for your time. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, guys. I know that one's a
That's
little
good.
longer.
No,